Hello. I hope everybody is doing well. I am excellent. Yesterday was my 4-week anniversary after having my laparoscopic vaginal hysterectomy. I feel wonderful, and this is kind of like that area where you get a little antsy. And I know I have not had any pains. I get a little cramp occasionally in the pelvic region, but it's nothing too much. I usually attribute that to maybe moving around too much. So I just sit down and rest, and everything goes back to normal. I am not taking any pain medication. Everything is going really well. My incision sites look great. Um, that I don't know. That's about it. So today, um, I want to talk a little bit about activity. Last week, which was week 3, I went to line dance class and I had a great time. I think that's the problem for me. I miss people. Um, we are still in a pandemic. So in our class, we are social distancing, 6 feet apart. Um, Most times the classes are outside. So that's been great. And just feeling really good. I would like to skate, but no, it's not time. So I'll talk to my doctor in a couple weeks about it. In the meantime, I am looking at yoga that I could do because what we want to do is protect our pelvic floor. We want to make sure that's strengthened, but we don't want to tax our pelvic floor and we get bladder prolapse. That's when the bladder falls down through the canal. We don't want that. We want to make sure that area stays nice and tight so that we won't have any difficulties as, we heal. So, with that being said, um, that's about it. Oh, yesterday, I walked 2.5 miles, my husband and I felt really great doing it. And I picked up my pace. I was looking back at other videos I recorded, and I was saying how he was leaving me. So this time, yesterday, I was moving pretty good, and he had to really work to keep up with me. So I felt great about that. I was also looking at those past videos. Man, you could tell on the days that I was not feeling it, that I was having some discomfort, or I was just kind of out of it, feeling a little disconnected. You can see on those days. And I remember recording, and then I think I went to lie down. But I'm feeling really good. I just want to talk today about uterine fibroids. What are they? Just add a little education to not just my own personal experience, but there are people who watch these YouTube videos and they want to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Am I going to traditionally treat these fibroids? Am I going to opt for medication? And it's nice to know what's out there. And the, this discussion that I'm having with everyone today is about some of the things that were offered to me and some of the things that I know that are out there. I am not advising anybody on what to do because it is your body. This is your decision to make along with your family, friends, your spouses, whoever your people are. It's good to glean information. I listened to so many YouTube videos and all of them were good. And it just depends on what you're looking for. But everyone that I listened to, it was good information to know. Things that I would not have known to ask, I found out. So hopefully, this will impart some knowledge on people who are trying to figure out what to do with their bodies. It's a big deal and it's not to be taken lightly. And I do understand that making this decision is difficult. I waited a long time. It's been more than 9 years. I know it. I was putting it off. I didn't want to stop working. I didn't want to stop my activities. I couldn't imagine being laid up for 6 weeks. That just seemed crazy. But this was probably the best time. Um, in the midst of all that's going on in our world, everything slowed. It gave people time to reset. It gave people time to really reflect on what's important. And when I say people, I do mean me. And so having this procedure, it was a good time. This is my reset button, and I'm thankful to have gotten it. Things are working out well, and I'm happy. So let's jump into uterine fibroids. What are uterine fibroids? Our uterus, it's designed to hold children. In that process, if you don't have a fertilized egg in that uterus, nothing implants, so you end up having a menstrual cycle. And as I read, I have to laugh at some of the descriptions that I've seen describing the cells of the fibroid tissue that out to be our turns out to be our problem is really what I want to say. But somebody said it's renegade tissues. What fibroids consist of is muscle fibers, and what happens, the fibers they wrap around each other. And as you know, muscles are very strong and they have a, a tensile strength. So those muscles just continue to wind around each other and they create these masses. Sometimes they can be on the inner lining of our uterus. They can be deep into the muscle, and they could be sprouting out from the sides of our uterus. As I said before, I had one that did that. It was really kind of crazy looking. But those are things that can happen. What makes these fibroids grow? Estrogen and progesterone. And those are natural hormones that we emit, and it's just a part of our lives to help support um, who we are as women and all that great stuff. So those are the things that help our fibroids to stay strong, and they help keep them growing, along with the blood supply in our pelvis that leads to those fibroids. They also keep them growing. So when you think about having procedures, the procedures are designed to stop one or all of those processes. The first procedure that my physician, who's gynecologist, offered me, he said that we could do ablation. And I was thinking, okay, early on, I was thinking, yeah, that might be good. If that's going to help me alleviate my pain and stop the heavy menses, let's do it. And he was saying that would buy me some time um, before I go into menopause. So yeah, no, he wasn't pushing for a hysterectomy, which I appreciate. And he understood how active I am, and he considered my time being a factor as well. So with ablation, he offered to do um, the balloon procedure. They insert a device into your vagina and they blow up a balloon and they infuse heated liquid into your womb, and it burns the lining of your uterus, and that helps with cutting down the blood supply to the fibroid, and if there are fibroids present, that will kill them. The other option was direct saline being inserted into your uterus, also killing the lining, minimizing the heavy periods, and killing fibroids. So that was a option that I had. He also offered embolization. Embolization is a procedure that have to be done in the hospital. They give you sedation for it, and the procedure, he said, it's about an hour, maybe less. But with embolization, he would go in with an interventional radiologist. And that radiologist is there to help guide him so that he can find the vessels that are feeding the uterine fibroids. So they go in through the groin um, just to insert small particles that will block off vessels that feed the fibroids, that feed the uterus. So without that blood flow, the fibroids will shrink and hopefully they die. I'm uh, not sure about that, but definitely they shrink and they minimize the symptoms that you're having. And he was telling me those two procedures could buy me time until it was time for me to go into menopause. When we go into menopause, we don't have the support of estrogen anymore. It starts to wane. By the time we're 35, we're starting to, our estrogen levels are starting to go down. And so by the time you hit menopause, the levels are low enough that sometimes women don't have any problems with their fibroids anymore after they've gone into menopause. So that was a great thought I was thinking. But he also talked about myomectomy. A myomectomy is when they go in, they retrieve the fibroids. Wherever they are, they go and retrieve them. And as I've read and talked to people, they've had to have another procedure following a myomectomy because the fibroids return. And that's unfortunate, especially for women of childbearing years. Those are some of the things that they're offered. And I just hope that women who are still in their childbearing years are having these conversations. And myomectomy does work, it works. Also, there's, of course, hormones using birth control. My doctor offered one medication, and I had a girlfriend who took it. She said it was really strong. She didn't feel like herself, she didn't feel well. Um, and what it does, the medication, it stops the production of estrogen so that the fibroids will shrink. So I knew right away I didn't want to take any medication, and I didn't do it. And my last resort was the hysterectomy. I've had two C-sections previously, so I was thinking he can go in through the same incision site. I had the worst thoughts. I'm not going to tell you any lies. I was thinking he would go in through that incision site. With my second with my second C-section, there was a lot of scar tissue that needed to be cleaned up, and it was really painful because of the healing process behind all of that. So I was worried. That's another reason I put off having a hysterectomy, because I just knew he would go back into that incision. There would be a lot of work done. I tell you now, if I had had an abdominal incision, I probably wouldn't be doing this well. I probably still have a lot of soreness. There's a lot of fibers you cut through when you are having your uterus removed abdominally. Even the day of surgery, I thought I was going in. That's why I was so somber in that first video, because so many things were playing in my head. I was just thinking, oh my God, I got to have this again. And the longer you're in surgery, the more you have to be concerned about blood clots, blood loss. I do not mean to frighten anyone. Your doctor will talk to you. Your gynecologist will tell you the risks as well as the benefits of a procedure. I am not talking to you as your provider or telling you to make certain decisions. I am talking to you about the fears that I had. So having an incision was definitely a fear because I've had one previously. I've had two incisions previously. So those are my concerns. And so the day that I went in there, and apparently he thought that was going to happen as well. I guess once they started the procedure, he didn't have to do it, and he was able to remove that uterus vaginally. I'm very grateful for that. But that was definitely, a hysterectomy is usually the last resort for most women. Some of the things that predispose us to uterine fibroids: ethnicity, definitely. If you are Black American, African American, uh, you are at a higher predisposition. Socioeconomic, um, that has a lot to do with it because of the stress of the environment that you're in. Definitely, family history has a lot to do with it. If you have mothers, aunts, sisters who've had uterine fibroids, those things play a part. Obesity, and of course, our diet. Everything leads back to diet. And I also, prior to having my procedure, I needed to know all the routes that I should take. And again, this information I give to you is because I read it. And I'm giving it to you so that you also can read and research for yourself. I just want to spark a flame right here. Um, the diet that we consume, generally speaking, not talking to anyone, I'll talk about my family and myself. I know that our diet was high in red meat. But growing up, my mom also gave us lots of vegetables, fruits. We didn't get candy. We didn't get sweets like that. She was all about not feeding into giving us all the junk food we wanted. She was a diabetic, so she is a diabetic. And so she had to make changes in her diet that impacted us directly. I don't drink soda the way that some of my peers do. Every now and then I will, but my children, we mostly raise them. You have water first. If you would like a soda, you may have it. And now they're almost adults and they opt for water first or lemonade or something like that. So that's a good thing. So still minimizing sugars in our diet is a good idea. Minimizing soy products, uh, opting for maybe goat's milk or almond milk, things that are healthy in that respect. Definitely, like I said, fruits and vegetables, colorful fruits and vegetables. I had kids used to tell me, "Oh, I don't eat green vegetables." It's like, "Well, why not?" Because they're green. It's like, oh, okay. So let's break out and try new vegetables of all different colors. But definitely, diet has a lot to do with it. Um, we should be eating oily fish like salmon, mackerel, and if anybody follow the Mediterranean diet, those are good diets. If you currently have fibroids, opt for the low estrogen diets, and that may help minimize symptoms. Um, Even if you're just having heavy cycles and you don't think it's related to fibroids, try changing up your diet. I think a lot of the habits that we have attribute, not I think, I know they attribute to a lot of the health issues that we have. Chemicals, also, I made a quick mention, I think in the last video, about chemicals that can cause us to, that they found, that they've linked to fibroids. In the description, following my last video, I believe I put all of that information there. And I hope you had an opportunity to read it. And I hope that you are researching for yourself. It's so important. I am here as an advocate for women who have uterine fibroids. I also want to be here to help educate. And so if there's questions that you have, please feel free to ask. In this climate that we're in now, I am concerned about mental health as well. So sometimes when you have so much on your plate and you get overwhelmed, information is the key. You can get information everywhere. Um, this can be overwhelming. Trying to care for yourself can be overwhelming, is where I was going with talking about mental health. So just keep educating yourself and, you know, have conversations with your physician and with your family and let people help guide you. Again, I hope that I've helped someone, even if one person was able to glean some information from this. I just really hope that I've helped somebody. And you'll be hearing from me soon. I'll keep you updated on all that's going on in the world of uterine fibroids. And I wish you all the best and many blessings to you. Thank you so much.